Casey?
Oh,
All right. Well, I'd like to welcome everyone to the Amery Board of Education special meeting. And we are going to, I'm calling the meeting to order now, and we are going to go Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The object and place of this meeting is for our athletic facilities. And so I will turn it over to you gentlemen there. Well, don't point fingers at each other. Come on.
break the ice.
Yeah.
Break the ice. We're trying to argue who's gonna start here.
Ah, okay.
Well, I think tonight, well, I know tonight, we just have a design update that Troy's gonna go through, where we're at, what the drawings look like today, and answer your questions on that. And then after that, we'll update you a little bit on, if you haven't heard already, maybe you have, on the turf interviews, and where we are from there, and then the rest of the bid packages that are out on the street. So, that's about it. Troy? Unless Sean, unless you have anything?
So actually, the drawings are done as of 5 o'clock today. So,
Just like getting your homework done, eh?
Exactly. So the comment was, where's all the color? Well, the answer to the question was, we were cramming to get the black and white ones done, and so the color is sparse today. But we kind of just broke the drawings down into a bunch of different pieces because it's hard to show a lot of detail at this scale. But the only thing I wanted to point out here is that this green line here kind of represents where that existing shelter belt or tree line currently exists. We talked about removing that to make way for this in the future. And then the other part of it is this is the center line for a potential proposed road that's been talked about, but at this point, the district doesn't own the land. So therefore, we are extending the road out to this point and creating a cul-de-sac. And the reason for that is when we go in and start putting all of these amenities in, they get close to the road. And so if we don't do at least the effort to put in the subgrade and all of that, we don't want to undermine or touch any of the work that we just finished to put the road into this point. So taking that road as close as we can to the ravine, creating a cul-de-sac, and therefore trying to limit the construction extents or what might be damaged of each one of those amenities if there's a potential opportunity to continue with the road in the future. So after long study, as you all know, the choice was made to move the stadium to the location where the baseball field is currently. And so when you look at the drawings, and what was finally created after meeting with the athletic director and all the coaches and getting all the work completed, we have the track and then what will be the football stadium. It's large enough that it can have football as well as soccer on the inside. We have created all of these runoff areas and kind of squared it off, which is going to be a nice amenity because when you're looking at things like the 100-yard dash and things like that, or 100 meters, all of those things, you have a lot of athletes that are getting ready to get on the track. And having large staging areas on each side helps keep things moving a lot more quickly. This represents the fence that goes all the way around the outside perimeter. And then this is a paving area that goes around for sidewalks, as well as opportunities to move equipment and things on and off the inside of the fence line to maintain the turf and things of that nature. This represents the bleachers that are being relocated from the other stadium, as well as the press box. And then up here in the corner, we have the stormwater maintenance pond. So we've got discharge points in there, and that's where that will be located. Things that we've done in above and beyond what was shown previously was talk was how big of an opening can we get so that if we use this as a yard potentially for staging for cross country or a number of other things. We had shown just a small gate going in and out, and one of the things we did was we created a large rolling gate so that now the opening will be over 30 feet to allow for athletes to run through. I don't know if that will be a large enough chute or not, but it's a lot bigger than the 10-foot opening that we had shown before. The other piece is you'll see these green areas. This is a ticket and storage facility that's located up in this corner. It's a future amenity, and we'll talk about that a little bit in the future, but the storage component is for all of the equipment that's necessary for these field events, as well as those on the other side of the road. We have long jump, triple jump, pole vault, and high jump all located right here. So there's a big need for storage in this location, and we'll talk a little bit about that more later. The ticket booth is located down here for the home side, coming on to what is kind of a jump plaza where the athletes can come out and then rush out onto the field. And then this green area right here is in addition to the existing metal shed, which would be prepped for toilets, as well as a large area that's covered for seating, kind of like a covered pergola or canopy area. And each one of these amenities are designed, but those would be the last things that would be completed should there be money left in the project. So they'll be bid, we'll have a number, but if there's money left over at the end, then we can talk about if they'll get constructed or not. In the meanwhile, you'll have the drawings, so if you wanted to, you could have your construction team and that program build them, or hire somebody else to do it in the future.
So then, where's the existing shed behind the school? Is that right there?
Right
Okay.
there.
That's what, yeah, I thought so.
Yep.
Thank you.
This is the new location of the varsity baseball field. That will be turfed as well as this. And then this is the junior varsity field with new egg lime in the middle, and it'll have a grass surface. And then this is the junior varsity softball field, now Jorgensen Field. And the fence will be brought in, as well as new egg line for the infield. Across from these field events, the long jump, pole vault, and high jump, across the road, which is the side lawn to the facility that we're in right now, we have 3 rings for shot put, and then we have 2 areas for discus. And it's nice to get those away from what goes on here, because when people are throwing big, heavy things, you want
Some clearance.
to be in the middle of the action. So we have a little sidewalk that's being created to come across. With a larger fence here, it'll help just to move things back and forth. But this amenity here will be created across the road from the rest of the events that are on the other side. And it makes a good use of what is now a great big green space. And then here's the 2 fields for Jorgensen in terms of what will be varsity, junior varsity. We are building a new press box that's in the base bid. And lighting and getting everything prepped for lighting on all the fields is also part of the base bid. Next one.
So I have a question on like the Jorgensen, and you mentioned lighting. The lighting would be on the west field, right?
Yeah.
Is that the plan?
Yeah, that's, yep.
Yeah, okay. And lighting on one field at this time?
Phase 1 lighting is the football field and the varsity baseball field,
Okay.
and then phase 2 would be Jorgensen.
Light, yeah, okay, okay.
Other questions about that at all? So then, once all of that work on this side is complete, then we can look at doing work on the other side where the existing stadium is. This is the tree line, that shelter belt. So just to kind of give you perspective in terms of how large this amenity is. By the time you create all of this for public and community use, as well as your own practice facilities and whatnot, for physical education, for kids coming across the street in either direction, as well as the elementary school coming over, it'll be a large green space that you can use and be able to accommodate for soccer, for football, full size, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 junior soccer. So you'll have a really nice amenity there. So right now, I think when you look at everything that's being created and what's being done on the property, this is a big change of use, but it's also a huge change in the amount of amenity and green space that you have as a campus. So right now, this right here with the green space is an underutilized opportunity, and you just kind of walk around the entire campus, and we're now reaching a point where we're efficiently using almost every square inch of what you have. This again is the phase 3 projects. Talked a little bit about that e-storage unit. That's the location where it would be visitor access point, storage for equipment events, and then there's a little covered area because you have lots of athletes that will be sitting there waiting for their turn to jump. So just kind of creating a little protected area for them. The west ticket shelter, or the west ticket area is your main entry. The plaza building extension includes toilets. And then we also created a landscape plan with trees and things like that. And you can decide how you want to use that or how many you want to incorporate in the future or as budget allows at the end of the project. Questions about that at all?
Yeah, we'll just touch on where we're at right now on the contracting process. We did bring in the contractors that have, the local turf, or contractors that have done local turf projects in the area. So we brought in the contractors that did St. Croix Central. There's another one that looked close that they did, and then the ones that did Baldwin, Hudson, and a few others. And we met with all the coaches, or with a group of coaches, and they selected Midwest Turf. They were the ones who did Baldwin and Hudson. So we've started the process with them. They've been sending drawings as far as like the striping and the logos and where that goes. 'Cause that is one of the longest lead items that we needed to get procured right away. So based off the drawings that LHB did, their DD level drawings, we took that and got those proposals. So we're down the road with those guys. As Troy said, they finished up the final drawings today. So those will go out on the street those will go out on the street tomorrow. And then we'll take the final bids on all the other scopes in the next 2 weeks. And then we'll come back to Sean with the final GMP package of what's phase 1, what all fits into phase 1. You know. Schedule-wise, we're still planning on starting right after baseball season. The day after baseball season, we'll get in there and start demoing the fields. And the plan is to have the turf football field ready for football season.
So I have to just, I'm trying to visualize that. Day after baseball season, which could be,
Well, I'll just interject here. They're going to start the dozers on May 6th. They'll get to the baseball field May 13th.
okay.
But they also have to move the press box, so they need a couple days prior. So
Yeah.
we're going to miss a couple home baseball games
At the end of the season.
towards the end of the season.
Okay. This, like in a month, like in 6 weeks, right?
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
And the turf vendor that we selected has finished 100% of their projects on time.
Really, yeah. It just
So
seems-
this will be a true test here.
I mean, and I'm thinking, football game in, what, August 23rd, was it?
Correct.
So, okay, wow, well,
Yeah.
busy summer for somebody.
Well, we save an awful lot of time on a new field, that we don't have to demo the old one. That's a lot of savings in time and effort there. And the borings came in good.
They're out there tomorrow doing some more test pits, but I mean, all the indications are that it's good, but now the test pits will just be a little bit more
Okay.
fine tuned.
Yeah, so we don't need to radically excavate that area.
No, it's more of, we're just hoping that the sand that's there is suitable to use as like fill sand or compacted sand for underneath the new track, and so that's what tomorrow's adventure is, to try and see if we got enough good soil on site that we wouldn't have to import in sand for that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, we do have sand
Yep.
across the road.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
Can you tell us about the turf package that was selected, what that all includes, what that turf looks like, what that looks like for the baseball field versus the football field, what kind of inlay is in there, what comes with it? Was there anything that comes with that as far as maintenance and all of that stuff?
Yep, so
Can you expand on that?
yeah, sorry, we don't have any visuals of it, but we will share that. It's, so on the football field, it comes with a shock pad underneath it. That's like it's about that thick, it's like a rubber composite pad that, and then on top of that comes the turf with the infill, and I think the coaches, there's an amount of the pile height, they call it, like how high the grass is, and how much fill it is, and how quick that is, and how it's, so the coaches have weighed in on that, and I think the finals, shop drawings are coming, and then there is some equipment that comes with that, like a piece of grooming equipment. There is, I believe it's 3 years that they'll come and do a GMAX test for the first 3 years.
And then G-Max is what?
That's where you make sure that a concussion protocol, so I don't know if, I've
It's
never
like
seen it
impact-
done, but
it's
if
like
you
impact
drop like a
testing.
bowling ball and
Yes.
see like,
Yeah.
okay, how.
Throughout the field, and then it makes sure that it's leveled and
Yep.
things like that, but
Yep.
everywhere on the field, they take samples of it, everywhere on the field, and drop this weight from a certain height,
Yep.
and then it's supposed to be representative, and then they come up with the actual numbers of that to see where you're at. And
Mm-hmm. Yep.
that lets you know, once you have to start replacing things, if that's the shock pad that's underneath there, or the infill that needs something done,
Yep.
that's where, and
And
it's a big deal to me,
Yeah,
so.
yep.
Yep.
And with that, I mean, of course, they come with like training, like they'll be up here to train the staff as to how to groom it. And, I mean, when you talk to a lot of field guys, they said as long as you properly groom your field, you wouldn't even need the pad. But a pad is a insurance on that. So that's why that's at the football field. At the baseball field, there's not a pad at the baseball field, and that's just simply that there's not that much worry of that.
Correct.
Yep.
And
The other issue was the balls.
And the ball
bounce
bounce, yeah.
way too high if you.
Yeah.
And then, didn't they say they put like sand down underneath the infield to make it so the ball bounces true and
Yep.
whatnot, so
Yep.
just, it's actually the same turf, but just with no pad underneath and then more sand.
Yeah, correct, yeah, so they'll do a different mix of sand and rubber at the infield of the baseball field to give it more of a true playing.
And is that the infill that we're going with, is a sand crumb rubber mix
Yep,
on both fields, the football field
baseball.
and the baseball field?
on the baseball infield will be that sand crumb rubber mix, and then the outfield has a sand mix too, it's a crumb rubber sand mix as well, but
And what's on the football field?
same,
Same,
yep,
that same sand crumb rubber mix?
yep,
And we're gonna dump the sand appropriately, not into
exactly.
a gravel?
We had a chat with the guy about that, so.
That was an interview question.
Yeah.
Since it's the same company. Fantastic.
Yep.
All right.
Well, one of the questions that I asked months and months ago, but I'd like to ask it again just because it's been so long. You know, when you go out and you buy a tree stand and they give you a harness, and it's just a piece of junk harness.
Yeah.
So when we get equipment with the turf, is it a decent piece of equipment, or is there something better we should be?
No, I mean,
looking
it's a
at?
decent, I mean, it's the equipment that they use themselves, you know, so it is, in some districts, they provide that equipment, other districts, the district just contracts with them to come and do the maintenance. So, I mean, it's the same equipment that they use to do their maintenance.
It's a tow behind, so we're able to use our own power equipment to move it. So the rake drag system itself, we can hook up to any of our existing pieces that would work for it.
They did make it clear it's not maintenance free.
Right.
So like once, basically said, every time you have a home football game, like in the fall, like every other week, you should be out there dragging your field. After a while, there's gonna be places you need to include some infill and whatnot, the rubber pellets and so. And then, you know, this company, if, you know, like Baldwin had they had some mirrors on their field, and then the sun hit the mirrors and then melted the turf right away in August. Well, like this company, if we called them and said, hey, you know, it's homecoming, we got a tear at midfield, can you get here? I mean, it was the kind of company that they're gonna be here. They're also doing business with Hudson, New Richmond, and Baldwin. So a lot of times, they seem like the type of company that, hey, can you stop in the first couple years and just check in on us? They did say we're gonna have some wear and tear in like our batter's box, the pitcher's mound, and some of those areas. But a local company that, I think the customer service is kind of what sold us on them.
But you should be able to replace those small areas, batter's box and this. sort of-
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they'll provide extra stock for that, you know, for those high wear areas, so.
But even interesting things like when they leave extra turf, you know, you want to leave that outside, because if you just leave that inside a shed, it's not going to fade at the same rate.
Right.
So when you put that out, it's going to look different. So they said, put that on top of your dugout and let the sun hit it. I mean, just little things like that, you know, average person probably
Yeah, that
doesn't
you
think
probably
about.
wouldn't think about
Yeah,
otherwise. So
right.
that's, yeah,
Yeah.
you have this nice little green space
Yeah.
out there with everything else. It's,
You can
it's like
al-
when you move a piece of furniture on the carpet. Oops.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's make, that's all really positive things to hear.
And then the cleaning side of it, he said Dawn dish soap, water, and a backpack sprayer. So he said it's not complicated, but you just go out there and, you know, just make your passes and nothing fancy.
Is that drag just moving the particulates around, or is it the magnet and everything?
There's two. There's one that's like trash to get the trash off, and then there's one that's a drag to reallocate the chrome rubber. Yeah.
And the cosmetics of it, I don't know how many emails I've exchanged with Ryan Humple and Chris Boyd, but that's a big part of it. Tracy Hendrickson, you know, that's what people see too. So we want to make sure it looks good and it's what we want. And do you want the same color green? Do you want offsetting greens every 10 yards? So we're working on that and making final decisions there.
Well, Tracy's got to decide what looks best on the camera. Did we get her an umbrella for her camera for rain days, by the way? You didn't get that?
She gets the final blessing.
Yeah, yeah. And I was on the field for St. Croix Central when they were building and that. And all you had to do is just, when the sun's high, is look out in that field and that center dark purple panther in the black. There was heat coming off of that girl. I was like, ooh. You get to center field, I think the temperature is gonna rise pretty
Oh,
hard.
yeah.
Did they talk about heat abatement at all for that in the summer? I mean, I know we're not gonna have to worry about it so much on like Friday night games, but if you're practicing,
Yeah,
or if you've
it's,
got soccer.
and Josh will tell you, as a football official, sometimes you have to take more breaks, especially early in the year when the sun's out, and, you know, the turf could be 5 to 10 degrees warmer.
Yeah,
If not more, yeah.
yeah.
It's hot.
Yep.
Did any of them recommend water guns at all on the turf to cool it off, or is that?
No.
I know, and you go to Texas, they actually sprinkle their fields a lot of times to cool
Yeah.
them off.
And that's kind of what I was wondering, if
Yeah.
if you're, you know, out there maybe possibly soaking before, especially if you're doing those July practices to get ready for those preseason stuff. It's that end of July and early August, it's hot, it was hot on
Yeah.
natural grass, so.
We monitor the heat all the time when practices are going on.
Yeah.
Coach Humple and the whole staff, all of our sports, like, Jeff sends out a daily heat index, like, and if it's hot, we move practice in the morning or inside, like, we don't screw around with this as far as heat safety.
With those LED lights in the sound system, Ryan might want to practice that night.
Well, with this too, we'll still have the old football field for a year or two or whatever. So there's a place there that can be practice on.
And I wanted to make a comment about the lights on the baseball field. With the snow that we just received, you know, it could be, you know, in 2 weeks we can finally get out on our turf field, but maybe our softball field is still pretty soggy. You say that there was frost coming out, still pretty wet. But with the lights, it can really help us. We could play a baseball game first and a softball game after on it, or vice versa. That baseball turf field will be able to turn into a softball field. So I know we don't have turf on baseball and softball, but we will be able to set up that turf baseball field for softball competition. And it'll be really helpful early in the season, especially when the weather's not on our side.
So you have what, a temporary fence?
We do have a temporary fence that we put out there and a portable pitching mound, and our girls actually went to River Falls last year and played on their turf baseball field. It's a little different experience, but you're able to get games in.
All right.
So to recap on some next steps, we touched on it a little bit, so we'll be getting some paperwork for Sean to sign early next week, so the turf can get ordered and get here. And lights are in that too, right?
Yep.
LED lights are included because of the lead time on the lights. So that'll get ordered, and then, as Gary said, we're out on the street tomorrow bidding. We'd like to give the contractors 3 weeks to put their bids together, so we'll assemble that, and then we'll create what you're familiar with at GMP again, and then we'll come and present that and how the budgets are looking based on that, so. knock on wood, that we have a good bid day in the next 2.5, 3 weeks, and we'll report how things, the turf part came in on budget, so that was good. So,
Okay, good.
The vendor we chose, I think, was actually $100,000 cheaper.
something there, yeah,
Yep.
close to it.
Cheaper than the
Cheaper
other.
than the competitor.
Okay.
Very similar products. And again, we feel like the customer service and the references that we were provided, it was kind of a no-brainer. Both quality companies, though.
And again, the vendor we chose did Baldwin and Hudson, right?
And Richmond.
Oh, and Richmond,
Yep.
okay. Well, I think anybody that's seen those or been on those
Yeah.
would agree that they certainly look pretty nice, and, so, that sounds great.
And again, I, knock on wood, but they did stress 100% of their projects are done on time.
Yeah.
Kind of a smaller company, the owner's involved in all of the projects, and that was very promising for us, because it's a little anxiety provoking with what it looks like right now, and that in a few months, it's supposed to be a
Yeah.
state-of-the-art complex.
I sense this was a key selling point.
Well, it's kind of all flat work, so that helps.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Yes, yes.
I know this may not be part of this discussion, but but it is. Can you talk about scoreboards at all, and will that be ready to go? And
Yeah, so we're having conversations with Daktronics. We're looking at roughly 10 scoreboards throughout the district. You know, middle school gyms, high school gyms, soccer fields, baseball fields, softball fields, varsity, JV. Yeah, we've met with Daktronics. We don't have any solidified sponsorships at this point. I do have a meeting set up with them tomorrow to kind of talk about our marketing plan. Tracy and I are working with them on what that's going to look like. But yeah, and they claim the lead times will be set by August. We're hoping by the end of April to have all of our sponsorships solidified.
and then sound system, is that on one
S-
side or both sides of the field?
So the sound system is actually going to be on the south side of the football field. It's one speaker. It's loud. We tested it out there. But it kind of angles at a 45-degree angle, so both sidelines can hear it, but it's actually attached to the scoreboard. It's part of the scoreboard.
Okay.
So that's through Daktronics as well.
If it's anything like St. Croix Central's, it'll blow you out.
Yeah, I don't know if they went through Daktronics or not, but yeah, this one will, when we were out there, you could stand on the south side of the scoreboard, so where the baseball field is going to be, and that speaker could be where it's going to be at game day, at the kickoff, and we could still have a conversation. So it's actually crazy how quiet it is on the south side of it, but it can roar if you want it to. So we'll have to work with the sound system and find the sweet spot. Make sure we don't wake everybody
The
up.
intermediate school called the high school office and asked what was going on.
Yeah,
Can we pump in artificial noise and make it?
Yeah, we're gonna have a prom dance out there and everything.
there we go.
Homecoming.
I will just add quick on the schedule, just because just to be clear, that the schedule, like the field is gonna be, the football field is gonna be done for football season, but like everything else is kind of gonna back off into the fall, like the track, the asphalt for the track will be down, but then the track that asphalt has to sit for at least 30 days before you can put the track surface on. So that'll be down in July and will sit for August, September, and then we'll find time in the fall when there's nothing going on out there for a day or two to get the track surface down. And then the baseball field will be done in August, September, October. So it'll be done by the fall, ready for the spring season, so.
And you talked about storage for track, you talked about, but for all the other events, is it that same storage area?
There's
I think-
storage.
I think we added a little under the bleachers. We're trying to enclose underneath the bleachers because that side faces right towards the high school commons area, and we are looking out there. Plus, we need some storage. I would say, on my vantage point, storage is still a need for us, but we're trying to get all these priority one items in here first. But I mean,
There is storage space underneath the press box that is getting moved over as well, so there is
Yeah.
some in there.
And the bleachers will be on the west side of the football field,
Correct,
same as today.
the home side, yeah.
Correct.
There'll be bleachers on the east side too, just smaller
Yeah, okay,
bleachers. I assume existing ones that we have, or are we?
There's a pad for portable bleachers, so you'll be able to move them around if you so wish, and at least that's what we've kind of.
Yeah, so your existing main bleachers will be moved, along with the press box there will be moved. The press box at the baseball field will be moved, and then a new press box built for softball.
Troy, one thing that we talked about a long time ago was a spot for a concession truck or something. Is
I was
that built
literally
into
just
this?
gonna ask that.
Oh, he beat you to it.
That's all there, power will be there, and it'll be right adjacent to that amenity that would have a covered canopy area, bathrooms, that area
Okay.
right there is set up so that there will be receptacles for any type of truck that might come in.
And then there's traffic behind that school. It's a dead end, but there's still traffic back there. Does anything here disrupt that you're making other changes to patterns?
Well, and that'll be our game day plaza area, but we do have a fencing system back there that we will install. So traffic, you won't be able to park back there during game days and whatnot.
Weekday delivery trucks and stuff will still be able to get through like they normally could.
Okay.
Yep, turning radiuses and everything were all designed into the hard surface areas so that they can take full advantage of what they need to do to get in and out and whatnot, so.
Yeah, because I know we talked a little bit about moving that service road closer to the high school.
Yeah.
But,
Yep, so the service road is pretty much right where it is, but,
Yeah.
but everything kind of in that whole receiving area, trash pad area, where the chiller is, everything else, we're trying to create some hardscape and landscape in there to help us buffer, but, not hinder traffic movement that's required throughout the rest of the day, week, year, so.
And all that blacktop, all that existing blacktop back there gets a refresh, so it'll all
Look new.
look new, yeah.
Yep. And the expansion for parking is also shown there.
yeah, on that corner.
I think that north lot expansion will be a really nice thing. The proximity to the field, people actually parking there.
They're parking there anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, okay.
I will say too, our two softball fields and our JV baseball field, I don't know what time of the year those are going to be seeded. There will be irrigation out there, but that could impact the following year's season. But again, at least we have a turf baseball field that could be a multi-use stadium with lights. But, if you throw seed down in July, even with irrigation, it may not be ready by March 21st the next year to play your first game. So something we'll just have to work through on our end.
Because I think we talked about a year, right? Minimum
Yeah,
of-
because, although the JV field in Jorgensen will get a new refreshed outfield, and, like Jeff's saying, like, you really want to stay off it for
Yeah.
a year before.
And you will see baseballs and softballs being thrown on our football field next year because that'll just be a dry space for us, and we'll utilize both turf surfaces, especially early on in the spring when we're waiting for the snow to melt.
You gonna let golf out there?
Ryan?
They can putt.
No, but even when you look at it, not only is it an amenity for athletics, but physical education as well. I mean, it is adjacent to the high school now. It's as close as any other green area that they're utilizing for PE as an exterior activity area. And, when you think about it now, it's an amenity that you'll be able to use earlier in the spring and later into the fall for even the academic time, so.
We already signed the papers, Troy. You don't have to keep saying.
He keeps looking at me. He keeps trying to sell me.
You're working on ya.
I'm just impressed how much you've been listening. I mean, you could have given the presentation all by yourself.
Oh, boy. It just came out again.
Compromise, Troy. It's compromise. It's all about compromise.
Do you know how many parking spots we're adding? Because I know there's a ton of people that park where the baseball field is right now. I'm assuming that
40,
between there and then behind the elementary school,
It's
you
around,
have more
I
than
think it's around
accomplished
40 or.
that,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, boy.
It's about 45 added.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's great.
Don't check my math.
I can't see that to count back.
But the visitors will be able to come in from the east side at the middle school and the intermediate school parking lots.
Yeah.
Right.
So that'll help as well.
We'll have to
This
put,
is another ticketing location right here. So immediately adjacent to that, you've got the parking lot for this building as well as the middle school is relatively close. So, you know, you've got a lot of parking now for all of your amenities that, you know, before it was hard to utilize parking here and parking here for all of the amenities on site. Now, if you're using this for youth tournaments for soccer, you've got all of this parking, you know, pretty much everything that's around the site is now close at hand for most of your amenities.
Is there additional lighting that was put in for the walkways and stuff for going to the parking lots or?
Just the general
Yeah,
street
the-
lighting.
Yep, and there'll be lighting in the plaza.
Okay.
Yep.
We did go with wider sidewalks, just to make it easier for snow removal. Wherever we could, we tried to mount the fence posts in the concrete so that, you know, the mowers aren't running up against it. But still, you know, they don't have to push the snow tight up against the fence either. So we tried to do as many things as we possibly could just to limit maintenance as well as damage caused by maintenance when you're doing a lot of those things, so.
Anybody else? Well, I'd like to say this is a great addition to our school. This is going to affect thousands of kids in the next 20 years plus. So, moving ahead with this it just adds so much to our campus and so much to our opportunities for these young people. I'm just ecstatic about this, really I am.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
Pretty exciting, yeah.
Yeah. And I think when you talk about thousands of kids, it's not just for our kids in our district, but also those visiting teams all of those kids too. So, I mean, it really does bring value to them too, so.
Yep. Yeah. Nice work.
Yeah, a lot of work went into this, a lot of planning. It looks fantastic. And
Yep.
I mean, I really can't envision it because y'all know I'm spatially challenged, but I can't wait to see it.
But you know your specs.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, with that, I think we're done. Motion to adjourn. Steve, and a second.
Second.
Dale, all those in favor say aye.
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 And opposed, here we go. I thank you again.
Yeah, thanks for making the trip.
Yep.